Hey everyone, Annie from Cloud9 White here. Today I'm going to teach you how to play Sova on Ascent, presented by Microsoft.
No one escapes my sight.
Starting on defense, if I am playing towards the B site, I feel like it's pretty standard to know the wallbang spots. Like, this is pretty standard for Sovas. I feel like every Sova knows, like, okay, I'm gonna dart B main and I'm gonna spam through this wall at this like fixture right here. Generally, you can get away with this, but if the enemy team is good and they start to counter you, then there's actually something you can do. You can jump on this box over here. So sitting on this box right here, you're a little bit safer. It's a lot easier to wallbang you if you're like right here, or like fire shock darts at you, or just counter you from right here. So some Sovas will spam the wall back here. Another thing I like to do is off rip, I like to fire shock darts just from right here. This is pretty good. If anybody's pushing into B main off rip, they're gonna take a nice shock dart to the face. A lot of the times I like to save a lot of my util to counter what enemy Sovas do. So like enemy Sovas will do this like pretty standard drone to like, you know, come out B main like this. If I'm playing defense and I know that the enemy Sova likes to drone, I have this little lineup right here. Boom. I just aim at like this little middle bar right here, and then it's a one charge, one bounce. And this will land right on top of him. So playing Sova at B side is pretty easy. Pretty much like starting position is right here, spam, you know, you can dart. If you want to be a little bit more advanced, you generally want to like save your dart for when they're execing and you want to fall back to sight right here. And what I like to do is I like to either fire a dart where this giraffe head is. This is a pretty good dart, or just anywhere on this like sign up here above them as they're coming out. Because what happens is they will path like through this wall, or they will path lane. And if you fire a dart, you can just get really easy wall bangs, and they really have no idea how to counter it as well. I've gotten like a ton of kills just like letting them come in, darting above them, and then just spamming through this wall. It's also good because I'm playing my life, which allows my team to rotate and allows us to retake faster. That's pretty standard for B. You can also play off of sight as well. Say they smoke you off right here, you know, you just fire a dart above here, and then 3 kills. So generally, it's preferred that you like want to save your recon dart for when they're actually coming out and like execing. Like trying to get info with it is good, but you'll get a lot more kills if you just like wait and use it at the perfect time basically. And if you're ever playing mid, it's a bit hard to play alone mid. A lot of Sovas will drone from tiles. It's pretty standard. A really good shock dart that you can start doing, if you like look at this little window, just like a little bit below, and then you do a one charge, one bounce. What the shock dart does is it'll bounce off the wall and it will land right here, because generally when the spawn doors go up, a Sova's gonna come like right here. They're gonna do a little jump drone. So this shock dart is really good. You break the drone value and then the enemy team has to re-clear mid basically. You can also do it on top mid too. Just fire shock dart, top mid. This is if you know someone likes to say swing wide, like an opper or something. Something I usually do is I like to just drone right here, and I like to use this little like ledge to gain more height so I can see above this wall right here. So instead of just like droning like this, you can't really see above the wall. You basically use this height advantage right here. So now you can see above the wall and you can see all of cat. This is really good info, especially if you see like 3 people pushing up cat. You can come right here, you know, fire shock darts like this or a recon like this. So you like you see them coming up cat and you're able to rotate. If you have a recon dart, firing it on this tree right here is a really good like cheese dart. Super, super hard to see. Like this is incredibly hard to see if you're coming up cat as an attacker. You're gonna be like holding angles like this. You're gonna be worried about like this. So this dart is just gonna get massive value, especially if they smoke you off right here and you do a dart like this. This is just free kills for you, basically. And if you're playing A site, generally, I don't like to like play a dedicated position. Playing right here as Sova with full util, you probably don't want to do this because like what you're doing is you're not really getting like agent value. So generally, I like to play in a spot that I can kind of like get away or get value. So I like to play Heaven a lot. You know, I'll do like jump peeks. If I'm playing alone here, I usually just do like jump peeks to make sure nobody's like walking out. If I need info, I can always like dart the main, or I could just like drone if they're like pushing in. A good recon to do is if you know they're coming A and you're basically on the rotate or you're like anchoring here, just any dart over here. Literally a dart like this, like you can bounce it on the wall. It doesn't even need to be perfect, but just a dart when they're coming out right here is super good because you can actually wallbang this. You can also wallbang it with a rifle too if you're feeling risky. A lot of teams will smoke this, and so if I like recon and then I sit in the smoke, I just get like super easy kills with this. And then also, once I get a kill or two, I don't like to like just jump in and like go Rambo. I just like to back off and wait for my team to rotate, and then I'll do like a little retake drone, you know, retake drone, and then try to tag some people under. Tagging people under is really good because this is all wall bangable as well. So if I have a drone or I know they're there, you can also do a little double bounce, full charge recon. This will land under. This is also really good way to get kills under. Or you could do like shock darts as well if you know someone's right under you. And then another retake dart you can do is, obviously people like to do this one. This one's like okay. You can also do the other one right here. But I like to just like try to hit the wall back here. I think this, because I like to scan like these spots specifically for my like team to retake this. Because I feel like retaking from door with like no info is kind of hard because this is like a 180 angle and then there can be people holding you from here. So I feel like coming out of doors is probably the hardest part. So I like to help my team do that with like recons. It's pretty easy, you know, just one charge. Just goes over, hits the wall. Another thing is like if you're playing cat too, and they're coming out A, because teams like to exec A. I do this little dart right here where it's like a full charge looking at this like gray corner. This will bounce up top right here. This is pretty easy kills through smoke too, because pretty much like every team will smoke this when they're execing. So you could even come up here and just do a dart through the smoke. Just super easy kills. So that's pretty much like what I do on defense. I definitely prefer Sova on the B site. It's a lot easier to anchor on the B site as opposed to the A site. Like if I'm playing Sova and I'm doing stuff lane, like firing shock darts, firing recons, and then I jump to back site and I like drone or like I ult, it's generally a lot easier to stall people or like get kills, get like cheesy kills than it is on like A site. If I'm like right here on A site and they're execing, I feel like I'm gonna die within like 2 seconds. If I'm under a Sova, like where I can't like recon anywhere, like that's good. These dedicated spots on site don't really fit Sova's role as much. If I am playing A, I'm usually not even like on site. I'm usually playing Heaven or I'm playing like Catwalk basically. So I definitely prefer to be on the B site. Sova is good at playing like solo anchor B. If you do the same like dart that you use for like a shock dart basically, like, and you use a recon, this will scan like pretty much everywhere besides maybe like hut right here. But this gets really good info because if there's like nobody out here, they're more than likely going A, or if like they were a smart team, they would like hide from your dart and then creep up. After waiting like 10 seconds or so and there's like no info, usually I'll drone this out. I like to stagger my util, which is basically like, you don't want to use your drone right after using dart. What a lot of like low elo Sovas will do is they'll dart this, they'll see nothing, and then they'll immediately do this. They'll come and drone, like immediately off rip. There are times when it would make sense to do this, but a lot of the time you're just kind of like doubling up your info. So usually if I was like playing ranked or something, I would actually do like a deeper dart. So I scan outside of B main. This also scans them if they're coming in B main. And if nobody breaks that dart, then I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna start like coming over here. Like I'm gonna get ready to rotate basically. This is called like cheating. I'm basically cheating over, like I'm giving up the site because I expect them to go A. But if my team is like, yeah, nobody's A, nobody's mid, then I'm like, I'm gonna come back basically. And like after 15 seconds or so, I'm gonna drone this out. And then like, hey, what do you know? There's 3 people there. You know, that's when I start going like anchor mode. I just fire like shock darts. You know, I break util. Their Sova's probably gonna like dart up here or like dart somewhere over here. And then I play my life on site, you know. This is a really good angle to play right here because you can isolate angles. So like I would peek lane, fire a shot, and then I would peek stairs. fire shot, and then I just kind of like juggle aggro. I never just want to like sit here in the open, scoped in kind of thing, because like this kind of gives them like a lot easier time fighting me. Like I just want to be like super like a rat, you know? I just want to like fight to survive. I don't really care about like getting 5 kills. Now let's switch over to attack. I feel like the pretty standard things to do on attack are executions, basically like 5 people, you know, going on a site. Obviously there's this drone that you could do right here. If you're playing against good Sovas, you really can't get away with this drone as much as possible. So sometimes what I do is, since if they shock me off of my first drone, I'll actually drone from like this corner instead. And if they're still like very smart and they do shock me off that drone, at that point, I just drone from like all the way back here. A place that I know like a shock dart can't really reach. And I might not go as far, but I still get the same info. This info is basically all you need to push off an opper. Same thing with right here. If I can get away with droning as close as possible on this wall, then I try it. But if you're playing against a KO or you're playing against a good enemy Sova who's countering your drone, then you're probably gonna wanna drone from like all the way back here, basically. If your team basically makes it so like there's like a rotation of like your util, basically what you could do is you could drone off rip, you know, your team's following your drone, you clear this person, you're like, oh, someone's lane, you tag them, and your teams are getting ready to go in. Really easy to dart right after you get off drone is just this tree right here. This will scan like stairs, this will scan like all of site. This is pretty standard. I feel like everybody's seen this dart 1,000 times. One thing you could also do to like switch things up, because you don't want to do the same dart every single time because people are going to catch on, they're going to pre-aim your dart and you're going to get no value. So what you can actually do is after you get off drone, you can come dart this tree right here. So this tree also does the same thing. It scans all of site, scans all of lane. There's a dead zone right here, I'm pretty sure. It's a pretty small dead zone. So this tree is also super easy to do from back here as well. Right after you get off drone, just boom, and then you can run into site. Something I do for my team too is I like to just like, since this is like usually smoked off and CT is usually smoked off, I like to fire shock darts if I know people are like there. This just makes it so they don't feel safe just running out the smoke. So usually when I'm coming in, I'll fire a shock dart and then get into site if I need to. I just like give my team the info and then I'll hold B main and I'll hold the flank. So usually I play like this spot right here after we get site. And I just try to like play my life as much as possible after I take contact. You can basically do the same thing on attack as you do on defense. Is after you get the site, you can do these darts right here when they're retaking. I like to do like a dart like up there or like at the giraffe's head is super good. So this is pretty standard if you get the plant down, you know, just using your util to stall to get pings. This whole wall is wall bangable and Sova is super, super OP post plant. That's for like attacking B. Now going over to like A side, like taking mid is a bit harder like top mid. There's a couple darts you can do. So this one is pretty standard too. It's just like above the bench. This will get pretty much everywhere in close mid right here. So pushing off oppers, pushing up people who like to push mid off rip. You can punish them really easy by doing this dart and say, oh, someone gets scanned, you can wallbang them from right here. If they're over here, you can't really wallbang them, but what you can do is you can do like a jumping shock dart like this. You don't want to shock dart in the open because they could just swing you and kill you. So what you would do is you would just use this box and you would just jump. And if someone kills you while you're jumping like this, then they're just better. Like they deserve that kill. Something you can do too is if your team actually does have control of mid, you can actually do a deeper dart right here. So let's say like they get up arches, they clear it or something, and I'm still top mid, just like holding the flank or something. I like to do a dart like this. This will hit these close angles, like if someone's trying to play like right here, this will scan them. If they're trying to play in market, this will scan them. So this dart right here is pretty good. And if they break it, like that's okay, then you just know someone's there. But if it doesn't scan or it doesn't break, then you know all of this is clear and it's free map control basically. That's for taking mid. Usually what I would do for like myself, if I was playing ranked, is I would usually like, if we're taking mid control, I just do a simple dart up there. All right, that's scanned. All right, now I just need to watch my cat, make sure someone doesn't swing me. And then usually once I'm up to this point, I like to drone this. This is kind of a risky drone spot. A lot safer drone that you could do is down here, just to make sure that nobody is like pushing B main, because this is, I've definitely died like this droning. But you can actually drone up mid, or you could drone up cat. Usually I would drone up cat from this spot if I was doing this. You could also be a little bit more greedy. So what I like to do is if there is an opera in play, I'll usually jump jiggle this, because this is like the #1 opera spot. But I like to be a little greedy with my drones. I like to clear this up to this point so that I can get a deeper drone into the A site, because pushing through A from cat is really, really hard. And so if I can get like tags, like if someone's Gen or dice, that's really good. You could also drone it into the smoke right here and push him back, because some people like to go for like really cheesy kills, like flashing out the smoke. So doing this drone is also good. Droning from like mid, pretty standard. Pushing A is definitely a lot more interesting. Usually like Sova's on attack, execing, boom, you just put a drone over here. They can't beat your timing, so you don't have to clear wine. And then usually I like to path left here. Some people have the urge to like path like right side of A site, but this actually doesn't get as much value as you think. It's actually sometimes better to path on the left right here. Especially if you path right here, you can actually see someone. If someone is like in the closet area right there, you can see their gun poking out if you put your drone up there. You could also drone into tree. Like if your team's kind of getting owned by someone running out the smoke every time, usually I'll do like a drone into here. I'll tag them, and then this is all wall bangable. So if they get tagged and they're sitting in the corner right here, then they're pretty much dead. Something I also like to do is if my team is execing the site, just to kind of like delay the heaven peak, basically. So firing anything like above this like box right here, full charge, bounce. This will mess up anybody trying to swing. All of this stuff is wall bangable too. So if we actually have the site, because I droned it out and I cleared it, then I'll usually do a dart like up here if I think someone's gonna swing heaven. A better dart to do is aiming like on this little tiny angle right here. If I'm playing with like a duo person or something, I'll have them sit on this box right here, and I'll say like, oh, I'm gonna dart you up heaven, like, and then I'll dart like this, and then this is really good info for them. But this basically scans all of heaven right here, and it also gets the lane right here. So my person who I'm duoed with or like queued with, they basically have all of this free info to like say they could push all the way up to here and like get a really cheesy angle, because nobody's gonna expect someone to be right here. That's a really good dart to do, just aiming like anywhere on this like spot right there. I think I talked about it earlier, but another good dart to do is if like you're having trouble taking garden control, or you have people like pushing up cat, obviously just like crouch aiming at this tree right here. Pretty good info. This will scan all of garden. It's pretty hard to break too. Like if someone's holding cat like this and the dart lands, they have to look all the way up, which is pretty awkward, to be honest. So like, especially if you're like fighting somebody and you have to like look up, like it and then you get scanned through a smoke or something, then you kind of just get doo-dooed on. There's also a dart if you are taking A main late. Like let's say you were doing like a mid default and then, you know, maybe a teammate got picked, or you want to come back A. A good dart that you can do is I like to clear this angle first, just to make sure I don't like walk into an opper. But you go on this corner right here, and then you're gonna put the tip of your shock dart icon. So the shock dart icon has a little tip right here, and you're gonna put that like right on the flag, and you're gonna do a 1 charge arrow. This recon is really good if you're retaking, because it actually scans wine for you, which is super good info to have, especially if you're coming back late A main. A lot of people like to play in wine, and instead of like risking that you're gonna get swung wine, you can just do that recon. You don't have to use drone. Like I feel like the worst drone is when you do this, to be honest. Because like, oh, it's clear, and now you just wasted half of your drone time getting no more info. So that Recon's really good because then if you clear this lane, you can literally walk up to here and then you can get a huge like drone info boost basically. So that's just something I like to do. Like I'm like using the level design to my advantage as a Sova main, where normally no character would ever like look up. Because my character has this Recon, I'm able to like abuse the weird stuff that they like put in. Cause like, why do they have a tree here, you know? So definitely Sova plays the best with a duelist, like a Jet, like a Neon, just somebody who can follow up on the drone or the Recon. They can also play with a smoke player though. Like if you have a smoke player, like an Astra, Brim, Viper, one thing you could do is you smoke this off and then a Sova can dart above here and then you play in your own smoke and just get like free kills. So this is something you can do. So he could play with like any role, but generally like duelist is the best just because they can capitalize off of the information. Let's say like I did the dart that clears wine for my duelist to push in, you know, they get orb, Jet gets knives or something, and my Jet's like, okay, I wanna go in. Then like I would drone them in and like, hey, what do you know, I tag someone. The Jet just immediately updrafts on them and like, you know, shits on them. I feel like the greatest threat to a Sova is the enemy Sova. I feel like the Sova v Sova interaction is like the most interesting. Like you could say like a Jet v Jet is like super interesting and fun to watch them like updraft and like fight each other. A lot of the times when I'm like playing Sova, I'm always thinking about what is the other Sova doing and like how can I counter them? If they just fire the same dart every time or they do the same drone every time, what I'll do is I'll actually go to their side and I'll do the shock darts, right? So if he drones mid off rip, I will come mid and I will do a shock dart. And then I hear the drone come out and it immediately breaks and he takes 90 damage. It's probably the most frustrating thing when you're a Sova and you're like, all right guys, let's go up mid, and then you immediately get shock darted and you lose your drone. This Sova v Sova interaction is definitely something that like I'm always like aware of. Like most of my lineups for shock darts and everything are usually to counter the enemy Sova. Because if I can counter the enemy Sova, then I can Sova diff and win the game off of that, basically. It's really fun when both Sovas have ults, because like when one Sova ults, the other Sova also ults, and they just try to hit each other. That's something I definitely do, is if I know the enemy Sova has his ult and he's looking to like exec, I'll basically ping on the map where I think he is and like look at where his ult is, and then I'll counter ult him. And because he's stuck in an animation, he can't like run from my ult, so it's just like a free kill basically. Now we're gonna discuss some of my favorite ultimate spots to use presented by Microsoft. What I like to do on defense is I can play a couple places. I can play Cat right here if the enemies are execing B. This has a really, really good lane for B main. And if they've already made it out and they're pathing lane, this also gets olive lane as well. And I've definitely got the most amount of kills with my ult from this position. If you are playing mid or on the mid rotate and the enemies are coming up mid, this is also a super good lane right here, just on Cat. And then if they hop off, you can also just ult them again, or if they're pushing Cat. And for attack, I feel like the bread and butter, like ultimate for attack at the A site, is you can jump up on this box right here and you can fire a dart right onto this tree right there. This will scan garden for a nice ultimate. And you can also aim up a little towards heaven as well. So those are just 3 of my favorite ult spots to do. Optimal time to use your ult is generally within the round you get it or after the round you get it, because the way that ult economy works is you want to get a certain number of ults per half. If you like say save your ultimate for the quote unquote like perfect time, then you're gonna get maybe 1 ultimate per half. A player who like kind of like understands the ult economy, they're gonna look to try to use their ultimate like right away if it's gonna help them win the round, or they're gonna use it the next round to win. And that way you can get up to like 3 or 4 ultimates in a half, which is really, really good like ult economy efficiency basically. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope I was able to help you Sova diff your enemies. Make sure to leave a like and comment down below which agent you want to see next.